She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Word of Mom Radio here on the Word of Mom Media Network. I'm your host, Dori DeCarlo, and you know we are here week after week, show after show, breaking those myths that mompreneurs and businesswomen, especially those of us building our businesses from home, that we're just dabbling in between bake sales and getting our nails done. We're not. We are smart, we are savvy, and we are sharing the wisdom of women in business and in life. And I'm looking forward to bringing today's guest into our business spotlight. Lindsey Busfield is one of the leading SEO experts and legal SEO and content marketing. As the vice president of Optimize My Firm, Lindsey is behind some of the nation's most powerful law firm websites. While a dozen or so SEO agencies can tout the same accomplishments, Lindsey's become an industry disruptor by revolutionizing the client-law firm relationship. Rather than locking clients in with long-term contracts and overpromising results in time, Lindsey's company has completely done away with contracts, which attorneys surprisingly love. Lindsey's also the host of her own podcast, The Personal Injury Marketing Minute, which has been applauded as one of the best legal podcasts in 2025 by Attorney at Law magazine. She also comes from an entrepreneurial family, and her relatives founded Handsome Brook Farms, one of the first pasteurized raised egg companies in the U.S., which grew to become the largest provider of organic pasture-raised eggs in the country. Outside of business, Lindsey's an avid pickleball player and loves discussing how the sport fosters a unique sense of community, its impact on mental well-being, and why it's rapidly becoming one of the fastest growing sports in the country. And I'm going to want to talk about that. So with all that being said, Lindsey, welcome to Word of Mom Radio.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I mean, what a great introduction. And yes, I did just go get my nails done. So I'm not even going to shy away from what you said about popping in and out between manicures, because I just did.
Or you know what? My granddaughter and I did right before Thanksgiving. I took her, she's 5, and she and Mimi got our first manicures together. And we did a family Christmas party, and I gave her a whole little nail set with decals and everything else. So there's nothing wrong with that. But
that's not the whole picture here.
That's right. So take us on your journey that has led you to what you're doing now, Lindsey.
So it's a weird journey, as I think some of the best journeys are, because nobody wakes up at a 5-year-old and goes, man, I really want to run an SEO company. If I could just work with law firms' websites when I grow up, that's what I want to be. No, it never starts that way. So it started with a lot of chaos and confusion where my family was constantly in and out of businesses going, I have a great idea. Let's put this into the market and test it out and see, what happens. So my foundational experience was watching my parents do business, so I kind of knew that I had some sort of draw towards that, some sort of natural instinct around business, but didn't really know what to do with it. So of course I irritated my parents to no end and got a philosophy degree, and from that I could either go work at Starbucks or become a lawyer. So I went to Starbucks and still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I loved English, so I became an English teacher and realized that's really not for me. But I loved certain parts of that. I loved teaching. I loved the community building. I loved the creativity. But as we all know, teacher environment right now is just the pits. So left that and went to go work for my family's egg business. As you mentioned about that grew from a very small business to now a very, very large business, and had a great time putting the pieces together for that. from there, I sidestepped into project management and went to go work with a law firm locally and help them out with their marketing and project management for that. And that's where I stumbled into SEO. So it was completely by accident, but SEO really put a lot of the pieces together for me. It was creative, it was strategic, it was project management, and it spoke to a lot of passions that I had already developed throughout the course of a very hodgepodge career track, and now has positioned me to offer this really niche strategy towards a niche client that it thrives for. So putting all those pieces together has built for a very a career that I'm passionate about, that I can get excited about in the morning, and can also make a little bit of money at.
For you, in this growth now of AI, how are
Yes.
you seeing it impacting SEO?
So that's a great question. And it's usually a question that people lead with a lot because it is huge. It's going to change how people work, it's going to change how people think. But in terms of AI, it's not the big earth shatterer that people think that it is. Because right now, AI is very limited. It is not generating its own content, it's not having unique ideas. It's pulling from stuff that's already out there on the internet. It's pulling from websites, it's pulling from Reddit, it's pulling from social media here and there, it's pulling from video, it's pulling from podcasts, it's pulling from a bunch of different types of content. But if you are doing SEO really well anyway, it's going to be pulling from what you're already doing well. So for my company and my clients, it really isn't a big earth shatterer. It's not detracting. We don't really need to change our strategy in any way. We just need to make sure that we're doing as much content as possible in as many different types of ways as possible, which is great because that's going to be serving my law firm's prospective clients well anyway. So I think it's great.
It's interesting because so many people now are kind of turning everything over to it. And like you said, if you're doing your SEO right, the AI is pulling the content you're already creating.
Right. It's just an extra feather in your cap if you're getting some free real estate out of the AI search results.
So for people that don't understand SEO, search engine optimization, how is that driven? And what does it do to help you find, show up on the Google Maps, all of the different things, the places people want to be found?
Right. And I think people have somewhat of a cursory understanding of what SEO is if you take away the letters. SEO is really just making sure that your business shows up on the first page of Google when somebody's looking for the product or service that you're offering. So if you have a pizza restaurant and you type in pizza restaurant near me, well, you want your pizza restaurant to show up before all of your competition. And the same is true with any business. So what Google is going to be pulling from to make sure that you're the first business that pops up is your website. They're going to look at the content on your website. They're going to look at how reputable your website is. And they're going to look at the information there and see if it matches up with what people are searching for. So that is called your organic listing, is your website listing on Google. But there are some other pieces that Google pulls from as well in different places on the Google search results that your business can show up. So that's going to be your website listing in addition to the local pack, which is the map listing. And that's determined by your review recency, user proximity to whatever type of business it is that they're looking for, as well as your organic rankings. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is, one, develop content on your website that's relevant to what your customers are looking for. And number two is get reviews for your business. And it might not feel super natural to go out and get reviews depending on the type of business that you have. But if you're going to be successful in getting to that first page of Google, to getting to that local map, it's something that you really need to focus on in order to drive your business forward.
Awesome answer. As an entrepreneur and in doing what you're doing with your business, how are you able to identify the market's need for what you are doing and what your clients offer?
So our company is special because it's a real niche. We only do search engine optimization and we only do it for lawyers. And even within the legal realm, we really focus on personal injury lawyers. So we've created this really niche vertical, and we've done so because we've identified the market need for that. We've identified a prospective client that is going to get a great ROI from the services that we're providing. And depending on which market we look at, there are some markets that are more saturated than others. There are some that are a little bit less competitive, some that are harder or easier to break through. There are some markets that are impossible to break through. So we are very particular on which markets we are willing to operate within. For example, in Los Angeles, you have some of the biggest personal injury lawyers in the world who are investing millions of dollars in their SEO every month. And there are thousands of lawyers who are competing for this one geographic location. So if I have, Turner and Bruns comes to me and say, I have $5,000 a month to spend in Los Angeles, what can you do for me? I'll tell them absolutely nothing, because you need to be spending that marketing spend in a different way, because you're just going to be lighting those monies on fire if you're trying to break into this. It's just not going to happen. So we turn away a lot of clients in some markets just because the service that we're providing isn't the right fit. But if I find somebody out in Omaha where it's not as competitive, not as saturated, and somebody comes to me with a budget that's realistic for that area, then we'll focus on developing a strategy for that area. But for us, it's really come down to identifying what market is going to be best served by the services that we provide, so that our clients are happy at the end of the day. Our reputation is protected because we know that what we're doing is going to work, and we can all sleep really well at night.
How do you and your partners divide up? Who does what? What's your specialty, Lindsey?
So I have a business partner. His name's Len. He founded our company about 15 years ago, and I joined in about 7 or 8 years ago. And he and I are a really terrific creative pair. And I think it is so important to find your creative pair when you are building a business, if at all possible, because you can complement each other's shortcomings, and your particular skill set can really shine if you allow each other to do so. So for Len, the things that I really admire about him is how well he can dive into the nitty-gritty technical aspects of this. If there is an algorithm change, he's on it. If there is a new feature on the Google search results, he's on it. If they're testing something out, he is geeking out over all of that. And while I have clearly an interest in that, that's not where my brain is. So I would get burnt out and bored to tears if I had to be part of all of the technical nitty gritty. And because he is in there, he has some really great ideas that come out, and he kind of shotguns them everywhere. And my specialty is logistics. So I am really great at picking out which of these ideas is going to be the best to move forward with. I organize, I delegate, and I make things happen. And that's where I shine. So as we come together, we are able to make a really great creative pair, because we're constantly driving each other forward, and neither of us ever wants to be bored. So if I am out getting new accounts, I'm building up our internal infrastructure, I'm hiring, he needs to be able to have the ideas to make these accounts successful and really push them forward. So we play off of each other, and give each other a lot of room for creativity. But at the end of the day, it's all about moving the company forward and building it and serving our clients really well.
That's a great place to take a quick break. Think of what Lindsey's saying. And we're going to be back here. We're going to say thank you to our sponsors and our supporters, and we'll be back in just a moment on Word of Mom Radio. She is brave, she is bold, she is you, and we want to tell your story. Are you ready to share your journey with us on Word of Mom Radio? Go to wordofmomradio.com and register as a guest. We want to tell your story, because when you win, we all win.
In 2017, Unsilenced Voices was formed to help survivors of domestic abuse and gender-based violence worldwide. The organization currently serves Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Ghana, and the USA. In 2022, Unsilenced Voices gifted over $33,000 to survivors in the USA. And in Sierra Leone, there are over 26 young girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking and domestic abuse and now going through vocational training school in order to better their lives. We need your help. Donations are critical in order for us to continue our work. We also need volunteers to help with research and development. Please visit unsilencedvoices.org for more information.
And we're back here on Word of Mom Radio. We're talking with Lindsey Busfield, who's the VP at Optimize My Fur. I'm going to flip this. As a woman in business, we joke all the time, the work-life balance. That makes me laugh. The work-life juggling act that you are going through as you are doing all of this, Lindsey. How are you managing it?
I am probably one of the luckiest women alive because I have a lot of support and I have a lot of flexibility. So for me personally, I am just needing to be intentional on how I structure my day. So I wake up at the same time every morning. I have my coffee. I sit down with my to-do list and I figure out what are my top priorities that need to get done today. Once I'm done with my morning, I can take a break, have another cup of coffee, go for a walk, go to the gym, and throw a load of laundry in the wash and make sure that the house stuff is getting done. And then move into my afternoon of here are my priorities for the afternoon. And by doing this and having the routine and the structure, I make sure that the things that I need to get done are getting done. And at 5 o'clock, I can shut it down and spend the time with my kids or go out and play pickleball or just enjoy life. So for me, it's really a matter of putting in the structure and the intentionality behind it so that I can continue to develop as a person, as a woman, and as a mom, as well as having my company develop during company hours.
Do you find any kind of pushback as a woman in the tech industry?
Yes and no. So I am one of the few women that is leading a company that's similar to ours. But really there's been such a dynamic shift in the legal industry as a whole, where you have a lot more female lawyers out there. So I'm finding that I have a lot more support, both in legal as well as in marketing, even though this is typically a male-driven tech industry profession. So there's a lot of blend, and I've honestly been very supported by my team. I've been able to hire people that, regardless of, man or woman, like have very similar mindsets. And I think that having that open mindset allows all of us to really benefit.
I agree. And it's interesting to see as the industries are growing and more women are becoming part of everything. So sooner or later, we will start getting less pushback. And you mentioned pickleball. And
Yes.
I find it, I don't play, I don't really know the game, but I find it so interesting that so many people now are obsessed with pickleball. So share it, explain what it is and why it is developing such a huge community.
An obsession is the right word, because once you get into it and it really becomes a part of your identity, it is hard to break away from it. So pickleball, for those who aren't familiar with it, is kind of like a cross between tennis and ping pong. It's on a court that's about half the size of a tennis court, and you use a paddle instead of a racket. If you call it a racket, people will look at you funny and be like, it's a paddle, doesn't have strings. But it is a really fun, fast-paced, athletic game where you find people who are competitive, but you're playing a game called pickleball. So the people that you're around are typically liking to have fun and don't take themselves too seriously. And one of the great things about it is it's only been around for maybe a dozen years and it's only been popular for maybe 5 years. So a lot of the people who are entering the sport are fairly new at it too. There isn't anybody who grew up playing pickleball their whole lives. So you don't have that cliquey mentality that you can get with other more established sports like tennis. So you're going in with a bunch of people who are like-minded, similar in terms of agility and skill. And it's one of those games where in at least the community that I'm in, it's all pickup. So if you go and there are, 6 other people playing, you put your paddle in the rack and they will play with you because that is the etiquette of pickleball. Like you put your paddle in, you're going to play with whoever you're going to play with. And so it's a really great way just to go outside and, run around for half an hour, get some great exercise, get some fresh air, meet some new people, and very, very low cost of entry to it and low skill required in order to start out. So I can't speak highly enough of it.
It's funny again, because as you said, it's a newer sport. I grew up in an athletic family. My children's dad was an Olympic rower. So, we were around sports all the time. And all of a sudden, the last couple of years, so many people have jumped on the pickleball bandwagon. And it is that kind of an obsession that's happening. And I find, and it's funny because a lot of them were not the most athletic people, but it is something that is actually increased their overall happiness. They just find like they have found something that is really exciting for them and everything. So I find it fun that this is something fun for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to be the most athletic person in the world in order to go out and play. And you will get in better shape just by running around and chasing a ball and hitting stuff and having a great time. And, most people are laughing when they're playing. And I mean, clearly there's some great health benefits to just going out and having a good time and getting fresh air and smiling and laughing. It's great. So find a pickleball community, go on Facebook and ask if there are any beginners leagues in the area. It's a great way to get plugged into your community if you're looking for something fun to do. And as moms, especially moms that are at home, it can be really challenging to find a community, to use the buzzwords, find your tribe. And this is a really great community to be a part of because it's so welcoming and you don't have to get a foursome of people to go out and play. You can just go find people to play with and it can revolve around your schedule.
It's interesting for me. I say a lot on the show with the women that I interview. It is a lot easier to be an entrepreneur when you come from an entrepreneurial family because you're more encouraged. What was it like for you growing up, watching your family business grow from a small business to the nationwide business that it is?
So it's funny because my parents are serial entrepreneurs. Like they went from one business to another to another. So in the span of me growing up, they started a magazine called Teen Scene Magazine. They started the nation's first large print phone book for seniors so that they didn't have to break out the magnifying glass. They started an arcade. They started an aviation supply store. They started a donut shop. Like they started businesses every 5 minutes because they always had these great ideas and had this natural aptitude to look at a market and say, here's a need within the market. And I bet I can find a cost-effective way to do that. And so growing up, I was just subjected to these conversations constantly. And I didn't realize that this wasn't the norm. So it's just how my brain kind of got hardwired to look at markets and see opportunities. So when they started the egg company, I think it was around 2008. So it wasn't all that long ago. I was in college and they didn't set out to start this giant company. In fact, my parents had completely different careers. My dad was a college professor. My mom was working with an international payroll company. They had a farm in upstate New York at this point that they had just turned into a bed and breakfast. And they had some animals at the farm. They had a little cow and some sheep and some chickens, and it was adorable. And they used the eggs from the chickens to feed the bed and breakfast guests. And in doing so, they realized that chickens that are raised outside and have access to bugs and grass and things like chicken stuff, their eggs taste better. It's not rocket science. Anybody who lives in a community where you can go and buy a dozen eggs from the lady down the street knows that these eggs are going to taste better than any eggs that you can buy in a grocery store. So my parents saw that this was a real difference that you could taste, coined the term taste the difference, and partnered with an Amish farm down the road, said, hey, I want to replicate this backyard model on a large scale. And at the time, you had free range and you had cage free, and those were the options. But with free range eggs, you only get 2 square feet of space outside per hen. And that's not really what people have in mind. So they really wanted to make a true backyard model. So this Amish farm agreed to give all this space to the chickens, and then they sold those eggs to the local grocery store. And from there, they scaled. And because everybody was receptive to it, this was different than anything else that was like that. So they called it pasture raised eggs because the chickens were raised on pasture. So I watched this grow. I watched how they scaled. I watched my parents' relationship and how they pushed each other forward, where my mom was sales, my dad was operations. And for me, that was probably the biggest takeaway that I had that I can apply to the businesses that I run now, where if you have this creative pair and you have one side driving the other, because without the sales, you couldn't find anywhere for these eggs to go. Without the eggs, you couldn't make the sales. So they were constantly driving each other forward and were their own creative pair. And that was something that you can only understand it by seeing it and by living it on the day to day. And the other big lesson from that was they didn't quit their day jobs while they were growing this business. So, and that is what they always instilled in me is if you have a great business idea, don't quit your day job to do it. It's going to take some extra time out of other parts of your life and some other resources, but have that safety net while you're getting this to a place that is sustainable. So those are the big lessons that I had from watching them.
I can't think of a better way to wrap up this conversation. What a great final lesson to share. As we're closing out, Lindsey, what do you want to say to our listeners and how may they reach out to you?
Just keep being creative, keep finding that market need and playing with it. Question everything. Always ask the questions. And if you keep doing that, you're always going to find something new and enjoyable and maybe a great way to push your business forward. And you can reach out to me at Lindsey@optimizemyfirm.com and learn more about me, my company, and my team at optimizemyfirm.com.
All of Lindsey's links are going to be live on wordofmomradio.com. Take a look. Take a look at what she's doing, because this is how you create that niche that drives a business. And it's a really great lesson to learn. So, Lindsey, thank you so much for taking the time today to share with us on Word of Mom Radio.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here.
Right back at you. And for all of you tuning in, thanks so much for being here. We're going to close out with our fabulous theme song from Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. So till next time, this is Dori DeCarlo saying go out and create a marvelous you. Bye for now.
She is sure, she is sure, she is strong, she is strong, she is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave, she is bold, she is bold, she is you, she is you, she is you, she is you. She is sure, she is sure, she is strong, she is strong, she is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave, she is bold, she is bold, she is you, she is you, she is you, she is you. Sure of herself, yeah, she takes care of biz, powerful and strong, yeah, she knows who she is, has integrity, woman strong and true. You know her by name, see this woman is you. She is sure, she is sure, she is strong, she is strong, she is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave, she is bold, she is bold, she is you, she is you, she is you, she is you. She is sure, she is sure, she is strong, she is strong, she is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave, she is bold, she is bold, she is you, she is you, she is you, she is you. Adds value and hope, has proved to be brave. See, it's never too late, never time to behave. Reaching for dreams, doesn't matter the age. Believes in herself, unleashed from her cage. She is sure, she is sure, she is strong, she is strong, she is true.